Hello my lovelies! So today I thought that I would give a review of the movie that everyone is talking about right now, and that is Wuthering Heights. So, because I have the book, you probably assume that I am an avid Wuthering Heights classic book reader, and by that you would be right. So, did I like the movie? Sort of. And in this video, we're going to get into why. So, sharpen your pencils. Do we use pencils anymore? Not really. Got your notes, and we're gonna discuss why this movie was sort of good, sort of bad, and somewhere in between. So I hope you guys like this video, and yeah, let's get into it. The reason that I did not like this movie was because, to me, it felt like fanfiction. It felt like a self-insert fanfiction that you probably read on Archive of Our Own at 3 in the morning, and let's not pretend that we don't do that because everyone literally does. Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte, the Queen Emily Bronte, was one of the first classic novels that I read that I actually enjoyed. Now, this is a bit of a conundrum because my dad hates it. Yeah, so there's that. My most recent read of Wuthering Heights, I know I wrote in a book, who am I? I wrote down some little things I wanted to look for, some themes, some things that I wrote about in my essay already. As you can see, I know I wrote in a book, who am I? And I highlighted different things, and there's just one that says death, which is very on the mark for this. Like, there's one line highlighted that just says death. Love, obsession, jealousy, contrived. Okay, so the ones that I was looking for on my most recent reread were love/obsession, repeating stories, deceitful narrator, death, wild moors/wild people. That was one that I really had fun with because I noticed in the book and in the movie, this was one of the things I actually liked. Every time that there was like a wild moor, like seeing like the fog or the rain and lightning, it was like every character in the story got slightly more wild. Like there was more abuse, there was more sexual content. The people just got more wild, and that's what I like about this. It's like people don't hold anything back. It's like the true nature of humanity, if that makes sense. And I think Emily Bronte does that extremely well. I think she goes into the human psyche and never comes back out again. And that's really interesting to me. Okay, something else that I looked for was race/social status and the bird's eye view. Now I say this because I am an English literature/creative writing graduate. We studied this book religiously. This was a religious text for us to study. And this is probably why I went into the movie with such high expectations, and now I'm going to tell you why you should probably give it another chance. So, one thing that I really did not like that the movie did was that they made Heathcliff a lot more handsome than he appears in the book. Yes, he's handsome to Kathy, but again, he felt like this, like, sort of devilish rogue character that you would write into a fanfiction of Wuthering Heights. The actor, honestly, I feel like he actually read the source material, and that was really refreshing. It felt like it came a lot more naturally to him to do the lines from the book, because there actually were some lines from the book, and that was good, that was well done, and I liked that. But Margot Robbie, I don't know, something about her just felt wrong for the role of Kathy. She's a good actress, and she did the self-obsessed version of Kathy really well. Like, all she cares about is herself, and that was very clear. It's hard to explain. I guess, Kathy is a lot more self-restrained in the movie than she is in the book. She takes advantage of Heathcliff a lot, and Heathcliff takes advantage of her in return, and that I really did not like. I was actually very triggered by some of the scenes where Isabella and Heathcliff, like, got it on, I guess, because he was using her in place of Kathy. And while, yes, some of her scenes were funny, and I actually laughed with my audience at a few of the scenes, she just also didn't feel like an actress that could play Isabella, and it's not how I pictured Isabella to be at all, even though all we get in the book for Isabella is this letter that she writes to Nellie, and just some little parts of her sprinkled into the Linton family life. And that's another thing I wanted to talk about, was Nellie. So in the movie, they sort of give Nellie a past, and they give Nellie this backstory, this huge backstory that we didn't really get in the book. Because the book very much says that Nellie is a villain, and she is the one who actively keeps Kathy and Heathcliff away from each other, and that really triggered me too in the book, because she actively keeps these two lovers apart, and then lies to both of them, and says, oh, she said this and he said that, or like, she cuts off important points of dialogue that one of the lovers needed to hear, or cuts it off mid-sentence on purpose. And then in the movie, it's like, oh, well, she had a reason for doing that. Well, because she was Kathy's loyal servant. And I'm like, this isn't Nellie. This isn't Nellie from the book. And I guess that's one of those things that you have to accept is part of the adaptation. But I just didn't like it. It just wasn't... It rubbed me the wrong way to give a villain an excuse for their behavior that is very much villain-like in the book. Isabella and Joseph. So, Isabella. I've sort of already touched on her, but in the Heathcliff and Isabella timeline, we don't see that much in the book. Okay, there's no sex-starved Isabella becomes this sort of like pet figure to Heathcliff in place of Kathy. That is not in the book at all. So there's a lot less to be desired there. I didn't like that at all. Joseph. So, I liked that they expanded on his character a bit more, but this text dungeon, again, that wasn't necessary, okay? I get that this is a Valentine's Day movie. I get it came out on Valentine's Day, the day before Valentine's. Whatever. I don't care if you're going with your husband or if you're sex starving, you're going to this movie. That was not necessary. And neither was Kathy and Heathcliff watching them. And, like, someone pointed this out to me, but how did Kathy not hear Heathcliff coming up to the roof to be with her to watch until he put his hand over her mouth? And it's just like, oh, there's Heathcliff. And it's like, really? Like, there are some things in this movie that just didn't line up plot-wise. Things that I did like. So, this movie did echo some parts of dialogue in the book, and I liked that a lot, and I thought that was well done. Okay, so the one dialogue that I did like was when they're in the awning on the moors and their children, and then Kathy says to Heathcliff, don't worry, there's always a little patch of blue on the horizon. I thought that was really good in a rainstorm. When they're grown up and they go to that same awning in the moors, Heathcliff says, don't worry, there's always a patch of blue in a storm, but not now because we're adults and so much has changed. And I liked that. I thought that was really good generational trauma. Even though they don't show Lockwood and the whole haunting second narrative of the book, that was enough for me. You know, that was good. I think it's important to remember that this is a fanfiction adaptation of Wuthering Heights that the director / screenwriter wrote when she thought about being 14/15 and reading Wuthering Heights for the first time. I think we've all been there, so I think it's important to maybe give it a second watch just to be able to feel the feeling, the era of the Victorian times and be wild on the moors and have this like Mr. Darcy passionate crush, have this just wild yearning that is so prevalent in these Victorian films, and sort of just imagine that it's there. And imagine that Taylor Swift songs, like Right Where You Left Me, Ivy, It's Time to Go, basically all of Evermore, and some of Folklore, and some of Midnight's playing in the background instead of Charlie XCX, because I'm sorry, but that music gave me a headache, and it was one of the reasons I didn't like the film. Yeah, just picture Ivy and Right Where You Left Me playing for the entire film, and you get Sylvia's version. That's it for now. If you have not read Wuthering Heights but you've seen the movie, I beg of you, please read the book. It is so much better, as is usually the case, and you will make Emily Bronte very proud of you. Okay, that's it for now. Bye, guys!